Hey, moneymakers, welcome back to another episode of Taking Stock Live. I'm Kalila Reynolds, and we're bringing you all the latest business news and telling you how it will affect you and your money. So after 3 weeks and over 15 hours of speeches, the budget debates are finally over. And tonight, we're going to have all the highlights from the entire thing. And I want to know from you, who won the budget debates? Who presented the better financial plan for the country? That's going to be our question later on, our poll question. And to help you make up your minds, we're going to be recapping some of the big announcements and the major moments from the budget debates 2025, including the closing presentation today by Finance Minister Favour Williams. But first, I want to know in the comments, where are you joining us from this evening? What part of Jamaica or what part of the world? Hit us up in the chat and let us know where you're joining us from. Also, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and let a friend know that Taking Stock is taking place right now. Up next, we have a look at what's coming up in tonight's show, followed by what's hot in business. Now, come on, let's get this money. On this episode of Taking Stock, that's a wrap on Budget Debate 2025. We'll recap all the biggest announcements from the government and the opposition and tell you what it means for you and your money. And the analysts weigh in on the latest market developments. The stock market has been rebounding recently, but there's still some uncertainty. So, should you be investing or saving right now? We'll discuss.
But first, here's What's Hot, brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart.
Barita Investments has launched a massive bond offer. The company is trying to raise $3 billion across 5 different tranches, $6 billion if the offers are upsized. There are 2 US dollar tranches. Tranche 1 matures in 2 years and has a 7% interest rate. Tranche 2 matures in 3 years and has an interest rate of 7.5%. The remaining tranches are in Jamaican dollars. Their maturity dates range from 2 to 10 years, with interest rates ranging from 9.7% to 10.9%. Barita said the funds will be used to refinance existing debt and fund strategic asset acquisitions. The offer opens on March 28 and closes on May 26. Grace Kennedy Financial has launched a $404 million takeover bid to acquire the remaining 27% of Key Insurance. Key Insurance is a 42-year-old general insurance company which has been listed on the JSE since 2016. The company's primary business is motor vehicle insurance. GKFG currently holds about 73% of Key's shares. It's offering investors $2.70 per share for the remaining shares. The offer opened on Monday, March 24, and is scheduled to close on April 22. GKFG said the move reinforces its commitment to expanding its presence in the general insurance market. Indus Pharma has sold the first batch of its new drug for $405,000 US, or just over 60 million JMD. Last year, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved Indus to produce a generic version of a drug used to treat heart and other cardiovascular diseases. According to Indus Pharma, the approval gives the company a foothold in the highly lucrative U.S. pharmaceutical market. CEO Guna Mupuri said he anticipates the company will make substantial revenue as the drug is more widely distributed. American fast food chain Church's Texas Chicken is expected to open its doors in Jamaica later this year. Church's is one of the largest quick-service chicken restaurant chains in the world. The company is set to open an outlet in Mall Plaza on Constant Spring Road in the third quarter of 2025. Church's Texas Chicken and its sister brand Texas Chicken have more than 1,500 locations in 22 countries.
Hey you! Yes, you! Come here. Have you ever wanted to start investing but you just don't know how? Well, you gotta take my beginner's money masterclass. I'm gonna give you a video course on how to start investing. It also comes with an ebook that you can download and read at your leisure. I'm giving you my personal investment tracker spreadsheet. It's gonna be filled with quizzes and guides and exercises.
Go to investingforbeginnersja.com to get started. Let's get this money. Wow. Let me see who we have in the house. Let me shout out our viewers. Kish is the early bird in the house saying, let's get this money. We got Kirk, blessings and detour to wealth avenue. Garfield saying good night to everyone. Dwight is in the house. Raquel is saying good night. Let's get this money. We also have Learn, Grow, Invest saying good evening, especially to those who are TJH shareholders. Raquel saying like and comment. You know, Raquel is our like police. Raquel always reminding everybody to hit the like button. We got Kirk saying thanks. Strong Link is in the house from Manor Park tonight. Nicholas saying good night to the money makers. Trivia in 5 says sleepy, but had to stay for the video. I appreciate you staying up for us this evening at Trivia. Sheldon saying good night and checking in from St. James. We got Garfield in Spanish Town. We have Ravage in Edmonton, Canada in the house. Who else we have here? The Diplomat says Auntie Faval, one hands down, straight out of ATL. Nick is in Kingston. JA Patriots is in Portmore. X-Ray Designs is in Atlanta. Philip is in TCI. Graham weighing in saying JLP1, of course he says. Trivia is in Mapen Clarendon, or from Mapen Clarendon, but currently watching from Tampa. Philip noting the bond market is active. Shavane is here from Portmore. So big up to everybody else who is tuning in this evening, no matter what part of the country or what part of the world you are joining us from. So our first segment of the show tonight, our main discussion segment, is just me and you going over what happened, rehashing. And I have to say, budget time is one of my favorite times of year as a journalist. I've always enjoyed covering the budget. It is actually what launched Money Media 6 years ago. So some of my very first videos, which started out on Instagram, were about the budget, or me explaining what is happening with the budget. That was in 2019. And here we are in 2025, recapping what has happened over the past 3 weeks, over 15 hours worth of speeches, including the closing budget presentation from Fable Williams, the new finance minister. And I have to hand it to her. I think she did a masterful job by taking the actual implied budget, as she calls it. We're trying to line up that clip for you, and I don't know if we're going to have it now or a little bit later on, but one of the biggest criticisms of both parties' budget presentation, I heard it a lot for the opposition, but the government also did the same thing. They didn't tell us how much their initiatives and their tax givebacks were going to cost. So the opposition presented this basically a manifesto, and they never said how much it was going to cost. And so I heard a lot of criticism about that. But to be fair, the government party, the JLP, also did not tell us how much their proposals, well, it's more than proposals now, they've been presented, this is going to be the budget. They didn't tell us how much these initiatives are going to cost. And in all my years of covering the budget, usually when it comes to that section called revenue measures, there is a chart, there is a table at the end that will tell you how much the revenue measures are intended to cost or raise. Now, traditionally, when the budget is presented, we have had tax measures, revenue measures intended to raise revenues. So taxes going up, and there would be that chart telling you how much additional funds they're going to raise from these new tax initiatives. In the past 7 years, it has been the opposite. How much funds you are going to save, or how much additional funds the government is going to lose by reducing certain taxes. And they didn't tell us. And then the other thing we would like to know is, where are you going to get these funds from? And let me say, even though the opposition is in opposition, the PNP is in opposition, I think they are still obligated to say how much their funds, how much their proposals would cost, and how they would fund it. Because I remember back in when was the JLP came to power in 2016. So back in 2016, 2015, 2016, leading up to that election, when the JLP presented their 1.5 income tax proposal to raise the income tax threshold from 700 and something thousand to 1.5 million. I remember being at that press conference with Audley Shaw and Auburn Hill and pressing them on how they were going to fund it. Because if you're going to present this grand idea to the electorate, to the public, as something that you want them to elect you based on, we have to know that your proposal is actually practical, that your proposal is feasible, that you're not just saying this to win votes, but you have a plan to implement it. And I remember pressing them on it until, they finally told us how much it would cost, how much billions it would cost, and where they were going to get the funds. And it turned out when they got in power, the funds that they thought they would have weren't available. And it was a whole thing. And they had to phase it in, as Audley Shaw at the time said. Now, this time around, it's a little bit different because the PNP has used the occasion of the budget debates to basically introduce their manifesto, to introduce their proposals. And so some may argue it wasn't the time or place to do that. However, I think that given that it's an election year, I think it was fair game for them to propose an alternative budget. But if you're going to propose an alternative budget, you need to give us the numbers behind your alternative budget. How much are these proposals going to cost us? And I think that was a fair enough expectation. If PNP wants to go down that route and introduce that topic, you got to tell us how much it's going to cost us. They never did that. They dropped that opportunity. And so Favour Williams came in and presented her quote unquote implied budget. Now, producer, just let me know in the private chat when we have that clip to play. I believe we have. All right, so let me get into Art Golding's response. We have it? Not yet. All right. So according to Favour Williams, the PNP's proposals would cost almost $50 billion. Meanwhile, the JLP's givebacks or give-ups, as she called them, are going to cost about $9.2 billion and are already factored into the budget. Now, according to Favour Williams, the finance minister as well, what the PNP is proposing to do would essentially crash the budget. She compared it to a FinStack 2.0. I think she was being overly dramatic with that comparison. I don't have the data to say how much FinStack actually cost the government, but I'm pretty sure it was more than $50 billion, or the equivalent in today's currency. So yeah, I don't think that comparison was fair. However, the stark difference between the two proposals is something that is of note. And so now we have Mark Golding making this comment in response to what Favour Williams said.
Order because the minister is misleading the House. We did not present an implied budget for the coming fiscal year. We presented our proposals, our policy commitments for the next PNP government. And we have never said that they will be implemented in the current fiscal year. They are... As has been said, the budget... After today, the budget would have been passed for the fiscal year. Our proposals represent what we will be doing for the duration of our first term in office. And that is what we were saying. And they will all operate within the current fiscal rules. Stop misleading the House.
So that was the response from opposition leader Mark Golding in the House, saying that the finance minister was misleading the House, that they never intended for all their proposals to be implemented within year one. However, the point was made in response by Minister Williams that you were debating this current budget. And so the assumption ought to be made that the numbers you're presenting or the proposals you're presenting are for this current financial year, which I think is a fair enough point as well. So The opposition has now called an emergency press conference for tomorrow, and my expectation is that the opposition is going to present their actual figures for their proposed budget, their alternative budget, their set of proposals, because they came with a lot of them, and what those proposals would indeed cost. And so we're expecting, that would be my expectation from tomorrow. And I would say if the opposition, if the PNP comes to that press conference tomorrow without their financial plan, without those numbers, it'd be a waste of time. What is the point of an emergency press conference if you don't have the numbers to rebut? Fayval Williams says it will cost the country almost $50 billion and put the country in a deficit position. You need to counteract that and tell us, what would it cost by your estimation? Is your plan feasible? Is your plan practical? Remember, this is an election year, and elections can be called at any time this year. The last election was in 2020, September, middle of COVID. So between now and September is not a long time. The JLP may well use goodwill from the current budget presentations and take advantage of that to call it any day now, who knows? Or they may decide to take a little bit more time since the last polls were so close and build up, more momentum over the next few months. But either way, the opposition does not have a lot of time. And so I'm expecting tomorrow that they come with those numbers. Pull an all-nighter if you have to. If you didn't factor in the numbers before, you guys need to stay up all night tonight and figure out what this plan is actually going to cost. Now, the government side does have the benefit of being in government and having access to the actual numbers of what things may cost. But I would like to see a practical plan from the opposition at tomorrow's press conference. Let me take a few comments before I get into some more highlights from the budget. Where are we? All right, let's see. We have Seymour tuning in from Bermuda. I haven't looked at the comments yet. Strong Link says he doesn't like the question about who won. The budget is serious business, not a contest. The question is, which budget presentation was more credible? So that's actually how I'm framing the question at the end of this segment. The question is, who had the better financial plan for the country? Who has the better financial plan for the country? And here are your options. I'm giving you the poll question a little bit early. So who has the better financial plan for the country based on the budget presentations? And reframing that question, AKA who won the budget debate. So your options are the JLP, the PNP, none of them, or I don't care. The JLP, PNP, none of them, or I don't care. Who had the better financial plan for the country? That is our poll question for this evening. I would love to hear your opinions. You can take that poll on the community tab of YouTube over on X, formerly known as Twitter. Leave your comments in the chat as well. And to help you make up your mind, we are going to be playing some additional clips from the entire budget series over the past 3 weeks. Shell's wanting to know, when is Fayval coming on? I don't know. We've extended the invitation. We've followed up. We're hoping to get her on maybe next week. I really don't know. But whenever she's available, we're going to continue trying to have her on. Let's see. Strong Link says we must not only demand good government, we must also demand good opposition. And he adds the alternative budget must be credible. King Grogu says JLP won easily. Creme de la Creme says the PNP has enough time to explain where funding will come from, meaning after the budget presentation, creme de la creme. Strong Link says Golding put his foot in his mouth. Trivia says this cannot be real. Am I sleeping? Shell says a joke. So if it wasn't this year, when would it be? Who else we have? King says Mark Golding is out of touch. How can he be giving budget presentation and saying it's not doing it for 1 year? A budget is for a year. Strong Link says it's a 25-26 budget. If he was doing something else, he should have said so. So let's get into some of the other highlights from the entire presentation, from the entire 3 weeks of presentations, which should help you make up your mind as to who has the better financial plan for Jamaica. So let's start with some announcements from the government. First of all, we have the increase in the PAYE threshold.
this government will increase the threshold to $2 million. However, colleagues, remember, we are a responsible government, and so we'll increase the threshold in 3 tranches to 1.8, then 1.9, then 2 million over a 3-year period, starting April 1, 2025.
All right, so that was one of the major announcements coming from the government side, that the income tax threshold is going up to $2 million, starting with this year going up to 1.8, next year 1.9, and then the third year $2 million. So that's something that a lot of people were looking out for, looking forward to. It is going to put money back in your pockets in the immediate term. Not a whole heap of money, about $2,000 a month. Can buy an extra KFC, a 2-box lunch maybe, but it's something, right? Especially if you look at it for the entire year. And then by the end of the period, we'll have, I don't remember how much it is, but I remember $2,000 a month for this first year. Next announcement was the increase in the minimum wage.
We are pleased to announce that starting from June 1, 2025, the national minimum wage will increase from $15,000 per 40-hour work week to $16,000 per 40-hour work week. This represents a 6.7% increase, reinforcing our commitment to improving the livelihoods of our lowest paid workers while ensuring economic stability.
Okay, so the minimum wage is also going up by an additional $1,000 a week. So that's $4,000 extra for the month. When he said by the week, it doesn't sound like a lot, but $4,000 extra a month for somebody on minimum wage, I think that is quite significant, something that they would be happy for. The next announcement from the government side was this provision to introduce micro insurance. We have that one. All right, we don't have that one. So let's look at the micro market of the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Pleased to announce its acceptance of the Jamaica Stock Exchange's proposal to establish a JSE micro market.
That one is a pretty big deal for us here who follow the stock market. So a micro market would target companies between 10 and 50 million Jamaican dollars. That's how much they would be able to raise on a micro stock exchange. I would love to see it implemented, although there needs to be several provisions that would make it feasible for companies of that size to seek to list. But we're at the point now where all that has been promised is a working group to establish it. But they have gotten the green light, or the JLP administration has given the green light for the establishment of a micro stock exchange. No timeline was given for when this would be done, or what would be, the timeline for the working group to come up with their set of proposals, which I would have loved to hear. But I think that is a pretty important one for us here on this program, and the viewers and followers and fans of this program who are always interested in business opportunities and investment opportunities. The next announcement concerned, or the next set of announcements, I should say, concerns the NHT, which is always a hot button issue at the budget debates.
To announce a further increase effective July 1, 2025. The individual loan limit will be increased from $7.5 million to $9 million. For 2 co-applicants, the combined maximum loan limit will be increased from $15 million to $17 million. And for 3 co-applicants, it will be increased from $21 million to $23 million. Madam Speaker, if an individual mortgager is purchasing a unit at $14 million or less, the NHT will lend that individual up to $12 million subject to availability. Let me explain that a little bit. Each time we increase, we notice, Madam Speaker, that each time we increase the loan limit, we notice an increase in the price of houses. It is the most frustrating thing. And yes, it is a matter of economics. When you increase effective demand, then more people are chasing houses than there are houses in the market. The competitive system is going to increase the price. So what we have done is to give a greater loan limit for houses that are going to be at what we call affordable price point. And the affordable price point for the NHT is $14 million. In fact, Madam Speaker, we have given a policy directive to the NHT that all their resources should now be directed at producing houses that are around this price point.
So that's the government's plan for the NHT. Now let's take a look at what the PNP is proposing for the NHT.
Many people earn their living in the informal sector in Jamaica, and they are not able to produce a payslip to establish their income. Many other people have formal employment, but they end up paying rent because they cannot afford to save for the deposit to pay down on a house. We will roll out the NHT rent-to-own plan to address these 2 situations. Firstly, Mr. Speaker, a person earning in the informal economy who can't produce a payslip, but who wants to buy an NHT house will be able to go into possession as a tenant, paying a monthly rent equivalent to a mortgage loan payment. That's right. And by establishing their ability to pay over a relatively short period of time, they will then be deemed eligible to access the mortgage loan from the NHT to buy the house. Having established proof of payment, they don't need to produce a payslip.
So that's Opposition Leader Mark Golding on the NHT. So which one, having heard both sets of proposals, plans for the JLP, proposals for the PNP since they're not in power, which one do you think is a better plan for the NHT? Now, earlier we also played the clip from Prime Minister Andrew Holness regarding the increase in the minimum wage. So minimum wage is going to $16,000 a week. Here is what the opposition is proposing as it relates to the minimum wage.
In our first year in office, I will task the Planning Institute of Jamaica, the PIOJ, to provide its insights and its research regarding shifting from a minimum wage system to a livable wage system. One which is tied to the actual cost of living and is renewed annually to account for accumulated inflation over the preceding year. The benefits, Mr. Speaker, of families earning a livable wage and living above the poverty line will outweigh any temporary effects on the employment market. And we have seen that repeatedly where people have said increases in the minimum wage, significant increases can't be done because it's going to result in displacement of employment and so on. And the thing settles down shortly thereafter, and living standards are raised at the bottom of the society, which is so important.
So the proposal to shift from a minimum wage to a livable wage, and that would be spearheaded by the PIOJ to figure out what this livable wage would entail, because we don't know right now how much does it cost to survive in Jamaica on a weekly basis. How much does it reasonably cost to survive? What is the livable wage? What would be the benchmark for that livable wage? So $16,000 versus an undetermined amount for a livable wage. Which one do you think is the better proposal when it comes to our low-income earners? And then we move on to roadworks. So the Prime Minister made a raft of announcements when it comes to roads.
The Southern Coast Highway project is now 95% complete. The remaining segment from Yallah's Bridge to Port Antonio and Morant Bay to Cedar Valley will reach completion in June 2025. Let me give a quick update on the Montego Bay Perimeter Road, which includes the Long Hill Bypass and critical upgrades to Barnett Street and West Green Avenue. For residents in the Long Hill area, you would have already noticed that clearing works have commenced. The initial concept of the Long Hill Bypass considered 2 lanes. However, the government has taken a strategic decision to expand the roadway to 4 lanes. So the people in that side of Jamaica, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, that would rely on that very important corridor, which is now an obstacle course, when this is done, they will have a 4-lane highway. Additionally, works on the Montego Bay Bypass are progressing rapidly, with earthworks at a very advanced stage, and the Montego Bay River Bridge, which I toured recently, is 95% complete. That's the highest and longest bridge in Jamaica, an impressive piece of infrastructure. As of today, the overall project stands at 55% complete. Once finished, this network of roads will significantly ease the long-standing traffic challenges in Montego Bay and open up new areas for development, fostering greater investment and economic activities.
All right, so that's Prime Minister Andrew Holness on roadworks. A lot of announcements were made about roads. I have a video coming out on that, I think tomorrow. We're looking at the Montego Bay Bypass, which is now 55% complete. We're also looking at the addition of a new leg to the North-South Highway that would take you from Miami Bay, where it currently ends, all the way to Discovery Bay. That way you get to bypass Draxhall traffic, because as you know, Draxhall has developed a whole lot in the past 5 years. So I think that will definitely be welcome. There are several others as well. You can tune into the Bottom Line tomorrow for the full review of what's going to be done as it relates to roads. I want to wrap up this segment now with a clip from Mark Golding talking about the EASE program that he intends to implement.
Our third commitment is that the EASE program will guarantee that every needy student from primary to secondary school receives 1 nutritious meal per day at school, with a long-term plan to expand that to include breakfast. This is a solution that will put money back in the pockets of the parents who are already struggling. Now, I expected what I heard. I heard that. That's the point. We know that there are students on path who get the benefit. But every MP in here knows that there are thousands of others who are not on path who don't get any benefit. Outside of path, who don't get the benefit. We are saying, Mr. Speaker, that once you are in need, for those on the PATH program, but even for those who are not on the PATH program, will guarantee you one nutritious meal per day.
And then they also had the RIDE program, which is their rural school bus initiative for students who aren't currently served by the JUTC. Now, there are a lot more things. We're kind of out of time for this segment right now, but I just want to briefly touch on both parties had a lot to say about the Student Loans Bureau, what their proposals would be, the JLP and the PNP. So the PNP wants to give you an additional 6 months moratorium from the time that you graduate before you have to start repaying. Let me see if I can find them. I was trying to look for them just now in my notes. I think it was Julian Robinson, by the way. I said opposition leader Mark Golding for the last clip is actually Julian Robinson, the opposition spokesman on finance. But yes, both parties had a lot to say about student loans, the terms of repayment and so on, extension of maturity. Both parties had a lot to say about electricity, access to electricity. The PNP saying that they are going to provide for more renewables, also saying that they would decriminalize electricity theft and they would introduce an electricity empowerment program, which would help to rewire buildings or households for legal electricity and also provide solar panels, which I think is a good idea, providing solar panels for people who need this initiative. I don't think Faval rebutted that specific provision. Like, how much would that cost to provide solar panels for how many households as well? So a lot to say on electricity access, a lot to say on student loans, and several other issues. But before we go to the break, let me take a few comments here. Let me see what you guys are saying. Shells wanted to know if I'm going to the press conference tomorrow. Not in person, but I will watch it online. I definitely probably going to do a recap video about it. She wants me to go to represent us, to represent you. Ask him the tough question, she says. Oren says, Faval was impressive. She silenced all critics, and big up to our women. You all are stepping up in a big way. King Grogu says JLP has a better financial plan because they give us how much it is going to cost. Creme de la Creme says the PNP already know where the money is coming from. Mark Golding is a banker. He knows numbers. Well, let's see what they say tomorrow at the emergency press conference. Tavares says, yay, I will be getting all of my TJH allocation. Tavares, you never hear it oversubscribed? Oversubscribed means you're not going to get all of your allocation. I didn't hear by how much it was oversubscribed, though. I think there's a good chance that you will get a lot of it. But oversubscribed means you're probably not going to get all, but maybe close to all. Dr. Lithium says raise from 100 US, 500 US, or even 1,000 for customs. I'm ready for ink up my finger. So the exemption from customs duties when you're importing stuff, like you buy from Amazon and so on, currently, if it's 100 US dollars, then you pay no duty. Dr. Lithium says raise it to 500 or even $1,000, and he will vote for the party that does that. Ice God says Andrew spoke or hinted of what will happen during a second term. Faval herself spoke about implementing policies over a third term in office these first 3 years, so why wouldn't the opposition? Okay, fair enough. Shells says the micro market is a strong no. It sounded good at first, but after thinking about it, Jamaica don't need a micro market. Stronglink says, I too have concerns about a micro market. Can entities of that size be adequately regulated and monitored? Kirk says, Mark get 1 point for the NHT rent to own. Tavares says, Jamaican people livable wage is with AC and water heater and jacuzzi. That sounds like a very high light bill, Tavares. Raquel says livable wage. She's impressed by that. She wants to see, I assuming that's what you mean, that you want to see that happen. Trivia says this is not a realistic proposal in terms of the economy. Greg says what they're doing for cost of living for normal people to eat, live, sleep comfortable at night. They can talk all they want, but it's the bottom line. People make the country run effectively. Worrell says that rent equivalent to a mortgage sounds high. The idea is to prove that you can pay a mortgage. So this initiative, the rent to own initiative, is targeted at people who currently don't work maybe in the formal system. So they don't collect pay slips, so they don't have that proof of income on paper to show. But if you give them an opportunity to make the payment, they can make the payment. Just that maybe you work, maybe you're self-employed, and so you don't have, pay slips, but you can make the payment. And so it's rent in the loose sense, but it's proving that you are able to make the mortgage payment. Tavares says, country focusing too much on handouts to indirectly buy votes. And Ryan says, $100,000 for a family of 4 is a livable wage per week. Per week. $100,000 per week. $400K a month. Because Pickney niam enough just to fuel their brain to study. It may indeed be a livable wage, but for that to be the minimum wage, $100,000 per week, I don't know how that will impact. Well, I do know how that will impact employment. A lot of employers won't be able to afford that. So the basis of allotment is out. Okay, TJH basis of allotment. The general pool was oversubscribed and all applicants will be allotted the first 2.7 million sales shares applied for, and approximately 33% of the balance of the amount applied for. So once you applied for less than almost 2.8 million shares, you would indeed get your full allotment. Thanks for that update, producer, and to the person who pointed out about the basis of allotment just now. So that's some breaking money news. The TJH offer for sale basis of allotment is out. Let me read it again. For the general pool, this was oversubscribed, and all applicants will be allotted the first 2,778,000 sales shares applied for, and approximately 33% of the balance of the amount applied for. So good news for those of you who applied for TJH, and it is already trading higher, as you will see in the market recap coming up. It's already trading higher than the offer price of $3.60. It's at 4 something now. So you already make a profit, basically, when those new shares list on the market. So reminder of our poll question for this week. You can take that poll over on the community tab of YouTube or on X. Who do you think has the better financial plan for the country, aka who won the budget debate? A, the JLP, B, the PNP, C, none of them, D, I don't care. Let us know your comments in the chat, or you can take the poll on YouTube or on X. Up next, we have your market recap, and our analyst is standing by. Market recap is brought to you by MyMoneyJA, the official data partner of Money Media. The JSE Combined Index lost 1,400 points last week, less than 0.5%. 123 stocks traded across the main and junior markets for the week ending Friday, March 21, 2025. 49 made gains, 66 lost value, and 8 stayed the same. 145 million shares changed hands on the Jamaican dollar market, valued at $567 million. Indies Pharma was the week's most traded stock, with 40 million shares changing hands. It started the week up 8% following news of their new drug being approved in the United States. Transjam traded the second most shares. The stock opened Monday up almost 10%, and Wigton rounded out last week's most traded. Now let's see who had the biggest gains of the week. Key Insurance was the JSE's top stock, up 20% to open the week at $2.46. GK announced plans to fully acquire the company last week. They're offering shareholders $2.70 a share. Epley Caribbean Property Fund had the second biggest gain, up 17%, and Caribbean Cream rounded out the top stocks, up 13%. On the losing side now, ISP Finance was the week's biggest loser. The stock lost 32% to start the new week at $19.81. AMG Packaging and Paper fell 20%, and 138 Student Living Variable Preference lost 19% to close out the week at $230. Over on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, the composite index was mostly flat last week. Massey was the TTSE's most traded stock. It opened Monday at $3.84 TT, and Calypso Macro Index Fund was the market's top gainer, up 5% to start the week at $25 TT. On the losing side, Guardian Media fell 11% to open Monday at $1 TT. Over in the US, the Dow Jones was up 1% last week, while the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq gained about 0.5% each. At the pumps, gas prices difficulties with the market recap. We're almost at the end, so let me just read the final portion of the market recap for you. We were at the pumps. Let me find that. All right, gas prices climbed $2.34 last week, while diesel prices dropped another $3.06. In foreign exchange trading, it took an average $157.63 Jamaican to purchase $1 last Friday. That's 32 cents more than the week before. One Canadian dollar cost an average $109.82 Jamaican. One British pound cost $202.96 Jamaican. And you could buy €1 for $170.31 Jamaican on average. Finally, on the crypto markets, Bitcoin prices gained almost 1% over the past 5 days, trading at $87,447 on Monday, and Ethereum gained 1%, trading at $2,085 on Monday. That's your market recap brought to you by our new sponsor, mymoneyja.com. And you can use the code MONEYMISSION for 10% off your MyMoneyJA account. Big up to Randy and the team at mymoneyja.com, the official data partner of Money Media. I guess it's back to me. So up next, we have your analysts. So can we play the analyst intro, or are we still having technical challenges? Do we have that? I guess we don't have it. So let me just go right into it and introduce our analyst for this evening. Our analyst today is Fund Sales and Services Manager from JMMB, Tanika Lawrence. Hi, Tanika. Welcome to Taking Stock.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me, Kalila.
Great to have you. So pretty soon we can remove the ticker now. So I guess whenever we have a new thing, some technical challenge always arises. But thank you so much to Tanika. And this segment of Taking Stock, the Analyst, is brought to you by Jamaica Money Market Brokers, your best interest at heart. And tonight, Tanika, we're looking at the stock market, and it has been rebounding, which is good news for us. But there is still some uncertainty. So should you be, or should we be investing right now, or should we be saving?
So it's always recommended that you invest. And especially right now where we see that shift coming on, where bond prices are going down, stock prices are going up. Now is a good time to really look at your portfolio and see where you can rebalance, where you can reallocate some more money into stocks. And move away a little bit more from the bonds since those prices are going down.
So finally time, because over the past, I'd say 2.5 years, the advice has been make some changes to your stock portfolio, start beefing up the bond portfolio, because we see where the bond opportunities are coming in. We have Mayberry, we now have Barita with a bond. But now you're saying it's time to get back into stocks. If you had exited stocks in a big way, come back in now.
Definitely, definitely. And there are some good options on the market. There are so many investment options on the market right now. So if you, especially if you're new to investing, it can be a little bit frustrating. And I'm here to offer you a solution for that. We have the JMB Wealth Builder portfolio, which allows you to customize your investments based on your risk appetite. And of course, it's a strategic allocation that can help you to meet your specific goal. So set a goal, look at how we can customize a wealth builder portfolio for you. And it allows you to leverage the JMB investment manager's expertise because it is a managed portfolio.
Ah, okay. So what does that portfolio focus on? Like, what are the types of assets that go into that portfolio?
All right. So it also comes back to your risk appetite, which we do a risk assessment for you. Once you're starting an investment account with JMB, the first thing that we do is to assess your risk appetite. So if you're especially if you're an aggressive investor, then the bottom line or the primary the primary assets that go into your portfolio would be maybe high yielding stocks that take a little bit longer to mature, but you're taking on more risks. So also you want to look at leveraging out by balancing with some bonds as well to make sure that you have a good diversified portfolio that's going to get you to your goal. But definitely if you're aggressive, you're looking more in terms of a portfolio that has a higher equity holding versus a bond holding.
So the wealth building portfolio is for more aggressive investors?
Well, no, you can have conservative investors in a wealth builder as well. It's just that if you're conservative, then your bond holding would be higher. So that's why I said it comes back to your risk assessment, your risk appetite. So if you're conservative, then your risk strategy, your asset allocation is going to reflect the type of investor that you are because it is customized.
Okay, good. That's what I was coming to. So this type of investment is actually customized to the type of investor that you are, because I thought that it was one portfolio for everybody, but no, you customize it.
You customize it, definitely, which is why it's good, especially if you're getting into the investment game now. You can look at how a wealth builder can support you or help to build out your portfolio. It takes away some of the hassle of having to go there and pick your own stocks, pick your own bonds, and it gets you to your goal.
Okay. What makes now a good time for stocks?
Well, we can see that with the market shift happening now, where a lot of companies are rebounding. So even if you look at some of the stocks that are recommended now, and JMB has some recommended stocks that you can look at, especially if you're a customer of JMB, you may get those market color to your inbox on a monthly basis. You just need to subscribe. But there are some recommended stocks now that we say, all right, market is rebounding. These companies are on a path to doing really well. So you can look into investing in those. So we have a lot of new companies emerging. We have a lot of companies coming out now that can get you the exposure into the equity market and to also give you dividends. And Trans-Jamaica Highway is one, which you would have spoke about earlier, where Trans-Jamaica Highway pays a 5% dividend. So if you're looking to invest in stocks, you can look for companies that pay dividend because that's a good place to start.
Mm-hmm. What are some other ones that we should be keeping our eye on right now?
All right, give me a second.
With the standard disclaimer, because our segment didn't play due to our technical difficulties, but with the standard disclaimer, this is not intended as investment advice. Please consult your licensed financial advisor before making any investment decisions. The information in this segment is for educational purposes only. Take it away.
All right, some of our recommended stock picks right now, and again with the disclaimer, you can look at Kingston Wharves, Guardian Holdings Limited, Trans-Jamaica Highway, Massey Holdings is one that we recommend as well. We have the Wisinco Group and also Lasco Distributors, which is a good one as well, and Lombard Depot Company Limited and Knutsford Express Limited.
Okay, thanks for that. The Diplomat has a suggestion for you guys at JMMB, so take this to your higher ups. She says, JMMB, or he says, JMMB, we need automatic dividend reinvestment option on Moneyline. Your customers are speaking.
Okay, so you can have your dividends reinvested, and your financial advisor can assist you with setting up to have a a standing order set up on your account to reinvest those dividends. So you can speak with your financial advisor, speak with your JMMB rep, and see how best he or she can help you to set up that reinvestment.
Okay, and can they contact you if they're interested in opening an account or the wealth builder option that you mentioned?
Yes, definitely. You can reach out to me. You can also reach us through the client care line, and you can open some of our investment accounts online as well. We do have online onboarding. So if you're looking to get into investments, get into pooled funds, especially unit trusts, you can open unit trust accounts through JMMB onboarding as well. And to customize a wealth builder, just call us and we'll be happy to support you with creating your first portfolio, you're creating a wealth builder portfolio.
How do they reach out to you?
We can reach us at 876-998-JMMB. So that's 876-998-5662.
All right. Thank you so much, Tanika. Much appreciated. That's Tanika Lawrence, Fund Sales and Services Manager at JMMB. Anything that you'd like to mention before we go? Anything we didn't cover?
Just to also point out that this initial deposit to start a wealth builder, it's 50,000 Jamaican dollars or 500 US dollars, and it can be held in either Jamaican or US dollar denomination. So you have options here with your wealth builder account. You can customize it.
Awesome. Thanks again, Tanika. We're going to take our final break and come back with your comments, and the comment section look festive right now.
This segment of Taking Stock, The Analysts, was brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart.
It's premium. It's premium. It's premium. Join the Money Mission community and sign up for a premium membership to learn how to budget, invest, and get out of debt. Go to moneymissionja.com and sign up for a premium membership to get started. Let's look at these comments. Let's see what the comment section is saying. A lot of things going on here in the chat. Javon saying, hi, I'm still around, just don't always catch you live these days. Keep up the good work. A suggestion to those, though, make one-off payment option for your Patreon along with the others already there. What do you mean by one-off payment? For the year? Because you can pay for the year. If you want to do Patreon, you can pay. It doesn't have to be just a 1 month. You can do a 1 year payment and then just go in and cancel it. So after you do your 1 year, just go in and make sure that it doesn't renew when the year completes. Junior says, will persons who are overseas be able to purchase the NHT house for $14 million? Well, as long as you qualify for NHT and you apply, I suppose you would. I don't know if people overseas currently qualify for NHT, but if you apply and you qualify, I don't see why not. Lavaine says, any substantial increase in the minimum wage will only be to the detriment of the group of persons earning it. Economics cannot be defeated. So, yeah, any substantial increase, meaning, I guess, tying it to a livable wage, because then the employers may not necessarily be able to afford that. Kimberly's Corner says, other, nothing really impressed me. So I guess that's option C, Kimberly. Option C was none of them. So C was none of them. She says, nothing really impressed me about the budget. Ralston says, NHT already has a system that you can pay your own NHT contributions to get qualified for a loan. I did it and acquired my home. Don't have to be employed by someone to get a loan. Shells is actually Learn, Grow, Invest. Shell says Learn, Grow, Invest won't get all his allotment. So bad, so sad. So you're implying that Learn, Grow, Invest applied for more than 2.8 million TJH shares because the money tall like that. Big up yourself, Jermaine and Renate. Denville says profit, 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 TJH. Kick rocks and no questions asked. Green Heart, so I'm guessing he's implying JLP win. Carl Welsh says JLP win. Sheldon says PNP has a better plan. Man from Far says AJPL. Sorry, well, they put JPL and meant JLP. Ryan says, yeah, I'm getting all of my TJH allotment. Yeah. Sherwayne says, the day I hear PNP make up a budget that doesn't impact the Jamaican people through new taxes, then I will listen. They didn't say anything about new taxes, but they also didn't say how they would fund their budget, their proposed budget. Let's see. Man from Afar says AJLP won the budget debate. Oren bigging up the TJH Army. Shell says the winner is the TJH shareholders. They are the only winners. I give it to them. Well played. Carl says Sheldon Brown, PNP didn't give any cost for their plan, so how comes they have the better plan? Sherwayne says enough of TJH. Which other stock could be next? I reckon RPL, Regency Petroleum. That's a company we don't talk about often. They did their IPO just last year, was it? Was it last year or the year before? The days just seem a blur these days. Who am I? Says Jamaica budget debate turns sport over substance. I'm going to bet on Jamaica budget debate. Don't let Supreme Ventures hear that. Don't give them any ideas. The Diplomat says Indus Pharma doing great things. Yeah, you saw that in What's Hot in Business, right? Indus Pharma has secured a contract for $405,000 US. They have a new heart drug that has been approved by the FDA. So don't let that announcement go over your heads. Don't pay attention. And if you saw in the market recap as well, their stock price is now up. Let's see what else we have. Who else do we have? Sherwayne says, if anyone gets $100,000 per week, everyone will end up losing their jobs the next day. You're commenting, Lavaine commenting, I guess, on the sound chipping out during market recap. She said that I went to count my TJH share allotment. Must be nice, right? And then she said, she's smiling. Good one. Diplomat says shells, but a big sintin, I don't speak patois well. A big sintin him a go on with when him and bro gotta compete. Don't laugh at me. Do not laugh at my patois. Who am I? Says I can only say who won based on delivery within the budget of the ruling government. So let's see come next year if all the budget promises materialized. Strong link bigging up My Money JA. That's right. MyMoneyJA.com is now the official data partner of Money Media, and so you will be seeing data from My Money JA across all our programs. So here on Taking Stock in the bottom line, whenever we reference any data, we will be using data from My Money JA. It's a really great platform. So go and check it out, mymoneyja.com. And if you sign up for any account, use the code MONEYMISSION for 10% off your subscription at mymoneyja.com. Sherwayne wants to know, does anyone have a company to watch other than TJH? Learn, Grow, Invest says, I do. I save in dividend stocks. I save in dividend stocks. Did he say which companies? Just the eyeball, Learn, Grow, Invest? All right, link him privately. Link each other privately. Diplomat of the Era says, fire upon saving. What savings? Responding to the question in the analyst segment, should we be investing now or saving now? The Diplomat says, fire upon savings. Learn, Grow, Invest says, I save in dividend stocks. Oren says, Wigton and Kingston Wharves are the stocks that he is watching right now. The Diplomat says, Indus Pharma and Carreras would be the stocks that he is watching. Who else we have? Trivia says, NCBFG, Dolphin Cove, Carreras, and SVL can't lose off the last two. Learn, Grow, Invest says that word diversify. There was a comment I saw about NCB that I want to find again. Who am I? Says searching for another gem like Palantir. I give Palantir when it was $9. Now it is $98. Went as high as $127. Want to make enough money? Where is my commission? Wow. Good for you. Who am I? That was a great pick. When was that? $9. When was Palantir at $9? That's not something that I follow. So tell me, when did you buy? Like, how long did it take to appreciate tenfold? Let's see. Who else we have? Oren says, fair money don't make money. Savings account on average pays 0.1% Invest, diversify your portfolio with shares in different companies. Talk to your broker. Who am I saying? Boeing has room to grow. Shell says, every time I hear, oh, here's the comment I was looking for. Shell says, every time I hear companies are rebounding, I see NCB stock shouting, what about me? I swear, NCB just, I don't know. People just have no faith, it seems. No matter what reports they produce, people are like, not me. Roswell says, I respect persons who help clients to invest in conservative investments. Still, the real return is when somebody understands a stock and knows where it trades and can get good capital gains. Kirk says, people don't like to mention sin stocks, and they are really profitable. So sin stocks being gambling, your careers, your SBL, smoking, your careers, liquor. Do we have any liquor companies listed? I'm not sure. But those would be, they're listed internationally, not locally. Your Campari, Group of Campari, or Appleton Worthy Estates. Red Stripe. Who owned Red Stripe again? Red Stripe is what her name again? Company that owns Red Stripe. Anyway, those would be your sin stocks, your alcohol brands, your cigarette brands, your gambling sin stocks. They tend to pay very well if you are morally okay with supporting those type of companies. Let's see who else we have. Diversifying is securing wealth, not building it, in my view. So there's a lot of other comments as well. You guys can go ahead and look into those comments. It was a fun show tonight. Like I said, I like doing budget stuff, budget highlights, seeing what the plan for the next financial year is versus what the opposition would propose to do if they were in power, and the rebuttals to what the government does plan to do. So I enjoy doing the budget presentations, but we're now done with the budget for 2025. And next week, let me know in the comments as well, who would you like to see me interview on this show? We've been reaching out to Fable. So far, we haven't had success. We've reached out to Mark Golding as well. We've reached out to Indies Pharma this week. We reached out to Fontana this week. Did you hear Fenty Beauty is coming to Jamaica? Where my makeup girl is at. This is a business show, but I also do, the beauty thing. I'm happy about that. Fontana has been making some big strides in the past few months. They're acquiring Monarch Pharmacy. They now have the distribution rights for Fenty Beauty in Jamaica. They have a new location. They raised a bond. They raised a big bond recently, which I assume is to pay for the Monarch Pharmacy deal. So Fontana is making moves. I have my eye on Fontana, definitely. I've always liked that stock ever since they listed. That's been one of my favorites, and as a dividend paying company as well. Fontana next week. Fontana has confirmed a TV chip up. Anyway, we're wrapping up anyway. So Fontana has confirmed for next week. So yeah, lots to talk about with Fontana. So guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Where's Raquel? My like police. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, send this video, share it with a friend, let them know that investing is the new sexy. So we're going to make it cool to talk about money. Also subscribe to the newsletter. You can go to getmoneynews.com. That's getmoneynews.com, so that you get investment alerts, IPO alerts, everything directly to your inbox. You get your taking stock alerts, your TBL, the bottom line alerts directly to your inbox, so that you don't miss anything. And you get your exclusive offer codes as well. And reminding you to go to mymoneyja.com and use the code MONEYMISSION for 10% off your subscription. I'm Kalila Reynolds. I will see you again next week. Looking forward to it. And until then, big ups to you, all our viewers. Big ups to our hardworking production team. And let's get this money as usual.